Let's learn how to set up and use a Sumitsubo. What exactly is a Sumitsubo? What? No, we'll get to this in a second. A Sumitsubo is the Japanese equivalent of a Western chalk line. And instead of using chalk, we're going to be using ink. The inside of this well is lined with silk wadding, and a silk line is actually threaded through and rounded on this wheel. The Sumitsubo, along with the sumisashi, the bamboo brush, as well as the sashigane, form the sort of trio that is the ultimate cornerstone of Japanese carpentry and Japanese timber framing. Now, the advantage of using ink as opposed to a chalk line is obviously its resistance as well as its accuracy, and it also allows the user to be able to create a very thin line that can either be taken, left, or split accordingly. This here is the braided silk line, and I'm actually going to start by threading this into the pot. And then there's also a hole back here. Try to get that in there. And this can get a little bit tricky just because it's a little hard to see and it's a little tight. There's a few variations of these Sumitsubos too. A lot of them don't have a handle, and they actually have a pin that can be removed so that way the wheel can be pulled out. This particular model that I got off of Hita Tool does not. I'm kind of struggling trying to get the actual line out. Let's see if I can use my trusty Duresta ice pick just to kind of steer it. There we go. Now, once I have this line out, I can kind of thread it into the wheel itself. Now I'm going to come back down through the wheel because I want to essentially tie this off against itself. And that is going to be perhaps a little on the tricky side there. If I say tricky one more time, I might buy everybody a Coke. So now I can tie this line onto the wheel, and really I'm just going to use pretty much a standard square knot. I'm going to trim this excess off right about here. So right here you can pretty much see how this essentially works. There's going to be some wadding in here that's going to be soaked with ink, and then this line will pull through there. And I'm just going to start reeling her in. Since I've got some timber framing projects in mind, I actually want to use a fair amount of this string. So I'll probably use about half of this total string. Now, there's a lot of books and a lot of literature out here on sort of some advanced or just different ways of how to use these. There's actually a technique too where you can use your line and wrap it around your handle here, and then it can hang as a plumb bob, which is pretty cool as far as multiple applications for this tool. And actually my reel is filling up pretty quickly, so I might not have to use nearly as much of this silk as I thought I was going to have to. Now, these pots can be handmade, and most are actually handmade, and they can be made in a variety of different woods. This one in particular is Zelkova, which is a pretty hard, solid wood. I've seen a number in oak, and actually there's a lot that are ornamental too. So a lot of guys will actually take the time and really make something cool. Practically speaking, this is totally a project that anybody can do as well. It's just the simple ink pot with the 2 holes and then a wheel. A lot of the ornamental ones will have some pretty neat shapes. Like I've seen one where the ink pot itself is a turtle shell. So there's a lot of room for creativity here. And I'm putting on a little extra line just because in the event that some of this extra line gets a little bit too crusty with ink or frays or, you know, any number of different things that could definitely happen. I'll have a little extra to work with, and I can just trim whatever is going to be discarded. So this is the silk wadding, and the silk wadding comes with 2 of these little mesh bags. And the idea is that you're going to take this silk and we're going to essentially pull it apart and then stuff these little bags with the silk. And you can do a little bit at a time, you can do a lot at a time. You basically just want to have these little bags as full as you can get them. And of course, the fan in my shop is not making this easy right now, but we'll deal. So as you can see, I got a little bit extra here. You can just rip that out, stuff it back in on itself. And just like that, you have a little silk pillow. And as you need, as these get dry and crusty, etc., you can always obviously remove the silk and add more silk. Now, with this, I'm gonna take the string and lift it, and then this will sit in the bottom. Just like so. And then the second one will go and lay directly on top of that. And that's how it gets set up. Now, there is one last thing that is missing, and it is something that I actually neglected to order on accident. So there is a pin that gets set onto the end of this string. That pin will then be set into the end of your workpiece, and that's how you'll be able to have a mounting point to be able to snap your line. There's a few different alternatives if you don't want to use the traditional pin. Frankly, anything that sticks into wood will be fine. I could tie it off to this ice pick. I could use a screw. However, the pin does have a little bit of an ornamental quality to it, and I think it just makes it a little bit easier. Here's the pin in question, and as you can see, it's not very expensive. The problem for me is that the shipping would actually make this pin about $15. I hear in Japan that these pins go for about $1. If you've seen some of my other videos, this shape is actually really similar to the chisel handle I just whipped up. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on the lathe and actually make this pin myself. Now, for most spindle turning projects, I'm going to start by finding center on both ends, and I do that by marking an X from corner to corner and using the middle point. And I'm just gonna mark that here with the ice pick. And the drill press is going to mark the actual point for the pin itself. As far as mounting it, this drilled point is what's going to go on my center here. I want that on the drive. And I go through a pretty painstaking process here of making sure that everything is super duper tight. The last thing you want is things to not be tight and not locked down, because then that's how things end up flying in your face. So here, once I can see that like this is starting to move on me, that's when I'll lock it in.
Start it up.
This little ridge that I'm creating here is actually pretty important because this is where the line is actually going to wrap around the Karuko pin and tie. So you need to create a little bit of a V'd wedge so that way the line has somewhere to nest into.
This is lit.
All right, so now I'm gonna take this 1/8 inch high-speed steel drill bit, and this is the same drill bit that I used to set this hole. I'm just gonna very slowly set this back in. And that's now the steel for my pin. Okay, so I've tied off the Karuko pin using a pretty standard fishing knot. It's basically just a little slip knot that goes right into that groove that you saw me turning. This got a little bit of a polish on the wet grinder, so we are all sharp. Now, to actually use the Sumitsubo, we gotta put some ink in it. So, for starters, I've got some ink, and I've lifted this top wadding out, and basically I'm gonna try to just shoot some ink down in here, get the wadding wet. I've heard that a little bit of this ink goes a fairly long way. You don't have to get too crazy about it. Then I wanna get the top of that too. I'm just gonna press that in there. And then the sumisashi kind of operates as a little prodding stick to get the ink to kind of set. As you can see, I got a little bit already on the end here. If you feel like you don't have enough, a little bit over the top is not a terrible idea. Just kind of push it down. And if you use your sumisashi right, it's actually a good way to keep your fingers from getting all ink wadded up. And you just kind of want to press that down to make sure that the ink is soaking into your wadding. Like I said, you don't need to just drench the whole bottom of this pot. It's quite unnecessary. And it's a water-based ink too, so if some of it gets on something that you don't want it to get on, it washes off pretty easy. Now let's look at how to actually use the Sumitsubo and to actually snap a line. I've got my sashigane here, and I just want to mark an equidistant point to be able to get to center from either side. So using the sumisashi, we'll draw a line there, draw another line, and then I'm just going to mark my X so that I can get a center point. And I'm going to repeat that over here on the other side as well. Now, from this center point, I'm going to mark across because I want to repeat that same X pattern to give me 2 points of center to line up off of to be able to scribe to the end. And where these 2 X's are, that'll give me 2 points, so that way this is center of the board all the way to the end. Now here's the moment of truth that we've all been waiting for. So my Karuko pin is in place, using the sumisashi to apply pressure to the wadding to be able to release the ink appropriately. And I can see here that my line is saturated the entire way, and I have it lined up here on my center line going through my 2 points. And I want to make sure, and you'll get your fingers a little dirty, it's fine. Actually, I'm just going to adjust this just a touch down just to make sure that it's nice and flat on my surface so that when I lift, and I have an ink line. All right, guys, that's it from me on this one. As always, thanks for watching. You'll be actually seeing this in a number of different projects coming up. I feel as though I'm gonna be using this for a lot of marking on timber frame projects, as well as even some furniture projects. I know you've seen the pen used. This just lends to a more traditional style and feel that I'm really trying to achieve with this channel. So if you haven't already, please do the like, comment, subscribe. Once again, thanks for watching, and see you next time here at Cowdog Craftworks.